This video is for you if anger has become an unwelcome companion. If you are constantly on edge, snapping at others, or just feeling exhausted from battling that fire inside. Maybe you are tired of anger controlling your life and pushing people away. Imagine what it would be like to finally break free, to stop feeling like anger owns you and to find real peace. In this video, we are not going to tell you to just calm down or pretend anger doesn't exist. Instead, we are diving deep into the truth that most people miss. Anger isn't just an outburst to control. It's a powerful signal, a message from within that is trying to get your attention. Anger is telling you something about your deeper needs, boundaries, and frustrations that is going unaddressed. By the end of this video, you will see how to unlock the message hidden in your anger, and you will gain real, practical strategies to transform that energy into something constructive. It's time to understand and manage anger, not by suppressing it, but by using it as a tool for true inner peace. Anger isn't just a random surge of emotion. It's rooted in our evolutionary makeup. Since ancient times, anger has been a survival tool, an internal alert system meant to warn us when something isn't right. When our ancestors faced threats, anger helped them react, defend, and set boundaries. Today, even though our environment has changed, anger still serves this protective purpose, signaling when we feel threatened, disrespected, or violated. From an emotional awareness perspective, anger isn't the problem. It's actually the messenger, calling our attention to an underlying need or boundary that is being ignored or crossed. Think about it. Each time anger flares up, it's as if your inner self is saying, something about this situation isn't okay for me. This could mean that a personal value is being disregarded, or an expectation remains unmet. For example, if you find yourself angry when someone dismisses your ideas, that anger might be signaling your need for respect and validation. Anger also acts as a mirror, reflecting areas where we might feel powerless, unheard, or undervalued. Maybe your anger comes up in situations where you feel overlooked, or when you believe you are being treated unfairly. Instead of simply reacting to these feelings, anger gives you a chance to pause and ask, what is this telling me about how I see myself? What needs of mine are going unmet here? When we learn to view anger this way, as a tool for self-reflection, rather than something to suppress or explode with, it opens up a path for deeper understanding. We shift from reacting impulsively to listening mindfully, allowing anger to guide us to the root of our emotions. This is the first step in transforming anger from a destructive force into a source of insight and ultimately peace. When anger surfaces, our instinct is often to handle it in ways that aren't helpful, either for us or those around us. Most people tend to fall into one of three traps when they feel angry: bottling it up, lashing out, or simply denying it altogether. First, there is bottling it up. Maybe you've been told that anger is bad, or that showing it makes you weak. So you try to hold it all inside. But anger doesn't disappear just because we ignore it. It builds. Bottling up anger is like trying to hold down a beach ball underwater. Eventually, it's going to burst back up with even more force. And in the meantime, that suppressed anger can eat away at us, leading to stress, anxiety, or even physical issues over time. Then, there is the opposite approach, lashing out. This is the anger that explodes without warning, often over something seemingly minor. Maybe someone cuts you off in traffic, or your partner forgets to call you back, and you find yourself saying or doing things you regret. Lashing out might feel like a quick release, but it doesn't resolve anything. It often leaves us feeling guilty or ashamed and can cause lasting damage in our relationships. Lastly, there is denial, pretending the anger isn't there. We might tell ourselves it's not a big deal, or I'm not really angry. But anger denied doesn't just go away. It simmers, seeping into other areas of our life and often showing up in ways we don't expect, like irritability, mood swings, or even passive-aggressive behaviors. Denial doesn't remove the anger. It just delays its expression, often in more toxic ways. Each of these responses, bottling it up, lashing out, and denying it, fails to address the core issue that anger is trying to bring to light. Instead, these reactions often create emotional distance in our relationships, fostering resentment, miscommunication, and misunderstandings. In the end, these unhelpful responses lead to greater tension rather than resolution, keeping us stuck in a cycle where anger controls us instead of empowering us. The key to breaking free is recognizing these unproductive patterns and choosing a new approach, one that acknowledges and respects our anger as a signal, rather than something to hide or unleash uncontrollably. For so long, I was constantly angry. Sometimes it was anger at myself, for the life I had, the choices I made, and the expectations I couldn't meet. Other times it was anger at the world, as if I had something to prove to everyone around me. I found myself cycling through all three types of anger, bottling it up, lashing out, and even pretending it didn't exist. But the more I held on to that anger, the more I felt like I was at war with the world. It got to the point where I didn't even remember why I was angry anymore. Anger became my default, my defense against everything. I was guarded, tense, and exhausted. Friends, family, colleagues, even strangers would sometimes notice, telling me that I seemed like I was carrying a heavy burden, as if I was fighting some invisible battle. They would say, "You seem like you've got something big inside. Maybe it's time to figure it out, to stop the fight." That hit me hard. Maybe you can relate to this feeling too. Have you ever felt so consumed by anger that you don't even remember what started it? That was my wake-up call. I realized I couldn't keep living like this. I started searching for answers, trying to understand what was truly behind all this anger. And that's when I realized that the anger wasn't just random. It was a signal pointing to all these unresolved issues within me. I had traumas I'd never dealt with, disappointments that came from having unrealistic expectations of others, and a deep-rooted need to fight for justice. I wanted to be heard, seen, and respected. And somewhere along the line, I thought anger was the only way to make that happen. At a young age, I thought that being angry, standing my ground, or raising my voice would earn me respect. But as I became more aware, I learned that anger could be powerful in a completely different way. Anger wasn't something to fuel a fight. It was something to help me understand what I truly needed and wanted. Once I recognized this, my entire relationship with anger changed. I stopped letting it control me and started using it to learn more about myself. What helped me most were 5 key strategies which I will share with you today. They have been life-changing for me, and I'm confident they can help you transform your relationship with anger too. Let's dive into the first strategy that completely transformed my relationship with anger. Pause and breathe. When anger hits, it's easy to get swept away by the intensity of it, especially if you are already holding into unresolved issues like I was. My old habit was to react instantly, either by lashing out or shutting down. But here's what I learned. That split-second reaction often has nothing to do with solving the actual issue. It's just the anger taken over. So the first step is to pause and breathe. I remember one specific moment when I felt triggered. It was a casual comment from a colleague that felt dismissive. Something small but familiar that normally would have sent me straight into defensive mode. But instead, I took a deep breath and then another. Breathing is powerful because it pulls us out of the emotional spiral and into the present moment. It forces us to be aware of our body and thoughts, creating a small but powerful gap between the feeling and the reaction. In that pause, I was able to find a neutral point of view, as if I was observing the situation from the outside. This perspective helped me see that my colleague's comment wasn't necessarily an attack. It was more likely a misunderstanding or even a reminder of some old, unresolved feelings within me. By breathing deeply and pausing, I could approach the situation with a clearer mind. Instead of reacting, I was able to ask myself, why is this affecting me so strongly? What is this anger actually telling me about myself? This simple pause helped me break the pattern of reacting impulsively and gave me a chance to understand the true source of my feelings. Practicing the pause and breathe step helped me begin to break down my anger layer by layer. It's like giving yourself permission to check in before acting, helping you respond with intention instead of reaction. This step alone can be a game changer because it's the foundation for every other strategy to follow. Step number 2, identify the source of anger. After pausing and breathing, the next step is to dig a little deeper and identify the true source of the anger. This step involves asking yourself reflective questions like, why am I feeling angry? Or what unmet need or fear is fueling this anger? In my case, a lot of my anger was triggered by situations that, on the surface, didn't seem like a big deal. For example, when a friend cancelled plans last minute or a colleague interrupted me in a meeting, I would feel a surge of anger that felt much bigger than the moment itself. But when I took the time to pause and look inward, I realized that the anger wasn't just about the situation happening in front of me. It was also about something deeper. Here's what I discovered. These moments were triggering feelings I have experienced in the past. Moments where I felt undervalued, ignored, or overstepped. My mind was using anger as a defense mechanism, a way of saying, not again, I'm not going to let this happen to me one more time. When I looked closer, I found old memories tied to similar feelings. Times when I felt I hadn't been taken seriously, or when I had been let down. My anger was, in a way, a form of protection, trying to shield me from repeating painful experiences. This reflection showed me that my anger wasn't just about my friend cancelling plans. It was tied to a deeper need for respect and reliability. Once I understood this, the anger started making sense. It wasn't just a reaction. It was a message telling me you need to feel valued, respected, and safe. Recognizing this helped me realize that it was okay to have those needs and to communicate them without letting anger take over. So, next time you feel angry, take a moment to ask yourself, what is really behind this? Am I feeling afraid of being disrespected, undervalued, or overstepped? Often, our mind uses anger to flag a fear or an unmet need that we might have carried with us for years. By understanding what is beneath the surface, you give yourself the power to address the root issue instead of just reacting to the current situation. This insight alone can transform your approach to anger and turn it into a tool for growth. I have a video that breaks down the emotional triggers. I believe it might help you identifying and understanding them to turn them into allies. I will leave the link in the description below. Now, step number 3, reframe your mindset around anger. Once we've paused, breathed, and identified the real source of our anger, the next step is to reframe how we think about anger itself. Instead of seeing it as a purely negative force or something we need to push away, we can start to view anger as a helpful emotion, a signal guiding us towards something meaningful. For a long time, I saw my anger as something to hide, something that made me feel out of control or even bad. I assumed that if I could just get rid of it, I would find peace. But over time, I realized that anger, when used constructively, could be a source of insight and a way to protect my well-being. It wasn't an emotion to be ashamed of. It was something to learn from. Anger, when approached with the right mindset, actually served as a tool to help me understand where I needed change, boundaries, or healing. When I started to think about anger as a message rather than a problem, everything shifted. Instead of feeling like I had to suppress or avoid it, I could be curious about it. If anger was flaring up, it meant there was something important I need to look at. Maybe a boundary I needed to reinforce, an expectation I needed to reevaluate, or a need I wasn't fully meeting. Reframing anger as a helpful emotion allows us to engage with it in a healthy way. Instead of reacting impulsively or suppressing it, we start to work with it, using it as a guide to understand ourselves better. Anger isn't an enemy, it's an ally, pointing us to places where we might need more care, attention, or change. So next time you feel anger rising, try to see it as an internal signal, a guide that is helping you protect what is important to you. This perspective can change your relationship with anger from something you fear to something you respect and learn from. Step number 4, communicate assertively, not aggressively. Once you've paused, reflected, and reframed your mindset about anger, the next step is to communicate assertively rather than aggressively. This is crucial for expressing your emotions without blaming others or escalating conflicts. The goal is to convey your feelings honestly while fostering understanding and connection. A powerful technique for doing this is to use I statements. Instead of saying "you always interrupt me," which can come across as accusatory and might put the other person on the defensive, try reframing it. "I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted during meetings because it makes me feel like my ideas aren't valued." By starting with "I feel," you take ownership of your emotions and focus on your experience rather than pointing fingers. This invites the other person to listen and engage without feeling attacked. Here are 4 key tips to keep in mind when using I statements. 1. Be specific. Clearly describe the behavior that is triggering your anger. And instead of saying "you never listen to me," try "I feel unheard when I share my thoughts and they go unacknowledged." 2. Express your feelings. Share how the situations makes you feel. Use emotions like frustrated, hurt, or disappointed to express the impact of their actions on you. 3. State your needs. Clearly articulate what you need moving forward. You might say "I need to feel heard and respected during our discussions. Could we make sure to give each other space to share our thoughts?" And 4. Stay calm. Approach the conversation with a calm demeanor. Your body language, tone of voice, and facial expressions should reflect openness rather than aggression. This sets a positive tone for the interaction. By communicating assertively, you are taking a step toward constructive dialogue rather than allowing anger to dictate your words or actions. This method not only helps you express your needs and feelings clearly, but also fosters a healthier atmosphere for resolving conflicts and building understanding. In my own experience, learning to communicate assertively transformed how I interacted with others. I found that instead of escalating situations, I could express my feelings and needs, leading to more constructive conversations and stronger relationships. Remember, your anger can be a powerful tool for connection when channeled through assertive communication. Step number 5. Seek constructive outlets for anger. After learning to communicate your feelings assertively, it is essential to find constructive outlets for your anger. Rather than letting anger build up or explode in unhealthy ways, channeling it into positive activities can help you release pent-up emotions while promoting healing and personal growth. Here are 5 effective and healthy ways to express and manage your anger. 1. Physical activity. One of the best ways to release anger is through exercise. Whether it's going for a brisk walk, hitting the gym, practicing yoga, or engaging in sports, physical activity helps to dissipate the energy that anger creates. I remember when I felt overwhelmed by anger, I would go for a walk or turn the music on and dance. The physical release not only helped me feel better, but also cleared my mind, allowing me to reflect on what was truly bothering me. 2. Creative outlets. Engaging in creative activities can be incredibly therapeutic. Art, music, dance, or writing can provide an excellent outlet for expressing emotions. For instance, I found that journaling about my feelings of anger helped me process and understand them better. Writing down my thoughts allowed me to articulate my frustrations and gain clarity about what was driving my anger. Similarly, painting or playing an instrument can transform raw emotions into something beautiful and expressive. 3. Mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Practices such as meditation, deep breathing, or progressive muscle relaxation can help you center yourself and process anger more effectively. When I started incorporating mindfulness into my routine, I found that it helped me observe my anger without judgment. By acknowledging it in a calm state, I could better understand the underlying issues and let go of unnecessary tension. Check out my playlist Mindfulness for Beginners to learn more about it and start practicing it. The link will be in the description below. 4. Talking it out. Sometimes, talking to a trusted friend or therapist can provide a safe space to express and explore your anger. Sharing your feelings can help you gain perspective and realize you are not alone in your struggles. In my journey, having conversations with my supportive partner and also my best friend helped me to feel heard and understood, making it easier to navigate my emotions. And now, number 5, engage in hobbies. Find hobbies that bring you joy and a love for expression. Whether it's gardening, cooking, or crafting, engaging in something you love can shift your focus away from anger and toward positive creation, reinforcing a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. By finding constructive outlets for your anger, you not only prevent it from becoming destructive, but also empower yourself to handle it in healthy ways. The key is to recognize that anger is a valid emotion, but how you choose to express it can make all the difference. Each of these strategies helped me turn my anger into a catalyst for positive change, rather than allowing it to dictate my actions or cloud my relationships. Remember, finding healthy expressions of anger is a vital step in transforming it into a force for growth and understanding. Anger is more than just a reaction. It's a powerful emotional tool for self-awareness and understanding our relationships. By recognizing anger as a signal, we open ourselves to greater self-discovery and connection with others. When we learn to express our anger constructively, we are not just transforming our own experience, we are also strengthening our connections with those around us. Each time we engage with our emotions honestly, we create space for empathy and understanding. If you are interested in exploring this further, I have a video that shows you how negative emotions can guide you to growth and help you unlock their hidden power. Thank you for being here today. If this video resonated with you, I would love for you to like and share it with others who might find it helpful. And to keep up with my latest content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Case Calm Kit. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Much love.